Cougars, I'm Fiona Fox. I'm here with Dyno. Hey Dyno, welcome to Cal State San Marcos. It's really nice to have you on as our new dance studies professor. Can you tell the students what you teach here on campus?
Hi, I currently teach the Hip Hop Dance 203 class under the Dance Studies Department.
That's great. So why hip hop?
Well, that's a great question. I pretty much lived through hip hop my whole life. So when the position that became available to come in and take on a role of teaching here, it was pretty natural. Like I didn't really have to. I guess my life work was like the resume itself. It was kind of just describing what I do in my everyday, and it's been a great 2 semesters so far.
That's great. So are you new to teaching in a scholarly position, or how did that come about?
So I was first exposed to the realm of hip hop. I say hip hop academia or hip hop in the university setting in 2013. That's when I first got my foot on the door and started getting to know some folks. And throughout the year since 2017, maybe 18, I started doing some guest teaching. So I started doing a couple workshops at a couple colleges. In 2014, no, actually it might have been 13, 14, I was doing this internship program. Well, I was actually helping run an internship program to get more college students involved with hip hop orgs that are out in the community. That happened throughout the Bay Area, Southern California, San Diego. So kind of did that for a couple of years.
Oh, that's awesome. So what would you say you specialize in for the hip hop genre?
For me, so the art form I practice is breaking, and breaking is like one element of hip hop culture, because hip hop is a bigger culture of different art forms, whether it's MCing, graph, or DJing, different street styles of dance. I've also dabbled in a couple of elements. We have turntables at home. We have I listen to hip hop like every day. So it's kind of like just I don't think about it all the time because I feel like it's just so natural when I just kind of walk into a space. It's just kind of living it pretty much.
Yeah, that's great. So I understand that b-boying was born in New York.
Yes.
How do you see it taking shape, or how has it taken shape here in San Diego?
So there's actually a rich history in San Diego since the 80s. There's a couple of OG crews here like Spectre and things like that. And in the 90s when there was this event called Freestyle Session, and the promoter by the name of Cross One started that here in San Diego in 93. It kind of set this tone. It kind of set like a momentum forward of like now being an international thing. And it's crazy that a lot of that history came from San Diego, whereas like yes, it was originally from New York. And now you could see this culture and this art form being practiced all around the world. And major events like Freestyle Session, and I'll even say things like B-Boy Summit, B-Boy B-Girl Summit was a big event here in San Diego during that time period.
During the 90s? Yeah,
during the 90s. Okay. And I feel like the momentum, while it's had its like climatic ups and downs of folks who knew about it, there was like there's like this whole notion of like going underground and resurfacing. So right now it's like in this resurfacing status where people are starting to know about again, but it's always been around. It was just kind of, again, like I was saying, you got this up and down of underground and resurfacing type of
So with the resurfacing and the underground, do you see a difference in like the style or maybe like the authenticity of the dancers possibly from one chapter to the next, whatever breaking
Yeah, that's a great question. I definitely do think there's a difference, and I think, okay, like this is speaking from, I guess, my perspective, because even for me, I still consider myself as someone that's young, but I've been studying and dancing for about 22 years. But when I compare myself to like an OG that's still, that's still around, and I find myself as like a middle person that sees like my older generation and see the younger generation, and being in a role of teaching, I'm seeing like, okay, like I have learned the ways of the past of like how to carry yourself in this culture, and also seeing how folks are knowing about it now, learning about it through media and things like that, and how it shapes their perspective. I think when I first got into it, like it was pretty underground. Like you kind of had to like stumble upon a place or kind of know a friend of a friend of a friend to kind of take you to like an event. And I mean, it was at the time, I think it was kind of stigmatized still a little bit. Like it wasn't really accepted in a lot of places. A lot of people kind of had a lot of the stigmas around anyone did hip hop anything. So
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. So it was almost like a speakeasy in a way. Like you had to have the secret password to get into this genre of dancing.
Yeah.
And so then, how are you taking your crew experience and turning it into lessons in the classroom here on campus?
So the crew, which is a cipher state, and the 8's our symbol, and I pretty much wear that on my heart because I think it shapes a lot of how I just carry myself out in life, whether it's work or teaching and things like that, because there's certain principles that we develop together that just everything from like how we practice, how we train, how we choose to do certain things in the community, and upholding certain values, and making sure that as hip hop artists and practitioners that we have like a responsibility to make sure that everything that's taught is, we got to come correct with it. So it's not like, for me, like I don't treat it like a job. I treat it more of like I'm here really just to make sure that the stories are passed on correctly, or like that people know that there's a huge foundation to this culture and art form. Yeah.
That's great. So, as a San Diego dancer, where do you see problems in our community that you are finding solutions to teach your students?
So that's a great question, and I would relate it to, I guess, if I'm relating to like, and if I'm speaking to like the dance community or the hip hop community as a whole, I think that I think it relates to like how are we, like as a culture, like kind of treating the issues here as not just like our own little micro problems, but seeing how like it relates to all the mass problems. And like I'm talking about like mostly safe spaces. Like I know mental health has been a big issue with just like addressing it in all areas really, but I'm starting to see it more with how we can actually improve like the community by kind of bringing like these experiences that we have outside in terms of like just seeking like, having services that like kind of reach out to like hip hop communities. And I think that that's been like a disconnect for a long time. And I'd really like to see that, see more efforts of that, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
Like social services, like anything from mental health counseling to like financial literacy is a big thing that people talk about, which affects mental health, if you really think about it. And and just the whole nine.
That's great.
Yeah.
Well, are you working with any other dance studies professors right now on a project?
So on campus, I think since I'm fairly new on the campus, I'm still kind of I think we're all still kind of we're still in that building kind of what's it called, like just building that camaraderie and just understanding each other's like backgrounds, experiences. And then I think it'd be natural to start like building up projects. Last year we did the spring dance concert, and that went pretty cool. Like that was a very collaborative experience. there is like actually room for other professors on other campuses, on university campuses, where I think it'd be great to start creating spaces for like talking about hip hop culture more in the academia sense. But yeah.
I went to the spring concert and it was awesome, by the way. If you Cougars get a chance to check it out, which pieces did you help collaborate or choreograph?
I just had the hip hop 203, and that was really fun because that semester, and that's a cool thing about a class, is that you always deal with different experiences, different backgrounds. We had a mix of students who were completely new, and then you also had a mix of students who were experienced, like they came from backgrounds of like highly competitive, dance troops. So my goal is like, all right, how do we create a sense of like collaboration between these two different levels? And just seeing the process of seeing these students who came from like, I guess, these backgrounds of like being competitive, taking a role as taking leadership roles and learning that in the process, and then teaching their ideas and choreographies to like the new students. It kind of created a really awesome balance of the class. So that's really the way I would describe it. I was more of like kind of orchestrated the projects. I assigned roles of like, okay, you're choreographing this piece, let's audition this within this little classroom of like, was it 14 students, So that was fun.
Yeah, I really enjoyed the hip hop pieces. They were a lot of fun.
Yeah.
What do you like most about being a professor here at CSUSM?
What I enjoy most is I enjoy being able to really learn like how we can kind of always create something new based on the differences in the classrooms. I love the more difference there is in backgrounds, the more interesting the classroom is, because it kind of makes it more interchangeable. I'm not one of those professors that like has a set like, okay, we're just gonna do this. It's very live. Like we get to know each other. If I know you're listening to this music or if you're into that. So it's a lot of introducing like, here's what I listen to, what do you listen to? Here's what I consider hip hop, and then kind of considering what's known today. And then finding those bridges also just it also makes it a more unique experience to see how someone's background in a different discipline can meld into like a hip hop class. For example, like I had someone that does Lindy Hop or something, and there's a lot of history with like soul funk, which predates like hip hop and Lindy Hop and things like that. So it's just a great environment.
Yeah. Yeah, Lindy Hop is pretty hard and super athletic. I have a huge hip hop background, but the thing is that why I would be like a different student was because I was like trained under the commercial aspect of it until I met my mentor, my dance mentor, who is also a b-boy like you, named Ninja, and he started teaching me the culture. So there's like a level of respect that gets taught as a dance studies person here that is really awesome. As a student, even if you think you know everything about hip hop, you may not, and you could add value to the whole community that way.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. So do you expose your students to the street culture of hip hop?
Yeah, I actually make it, I haven't made it mandatory yet because I don't have the jurisdiction to be able to do that, but I do make it actually credit to attend a cultural event. And we specify what is that. We kind of create the guidelines of what is a cultural event versus just going to like a ticketed show, for example. Cultural events, which tend to have more of an underground feel. Sometimes they happen at like bars or art galleries or like parks and things like that. And then you do a reflection paper on it, and then like I had a student attend an event in Tijuana, because she crossed the border, TJ. And she went to it's one of our friends, Sopitas con Huevo. They hosted an event there, and their experience was like a different world. And that was kind of like what I want, is because when I first went to an event, it really felt like that. It would feel like out of the norm, like whoa, like the energy is different. So that's kind of part of the class, is like encouraging folks to attend street culture events.
It's exciting. I kind of wish that we knew more about these events as well, so we could join y'all in the fun.
Yeah.
What is your biggest focus for hip hop culture with the campus students?
It's really, for me, like in any space I'm in, is just really bridging gaps, bridging gaps, and like the kind of my own mission is really like bridging these gaps through hip hop intergenerationally and interculturally, because I really do. I'm a big believer in hip hop as being like this, like really creative way of bringing people together, you know, and then in a way that doesn't compromise you being different. It actually celebrates you being different and that's personally what I was inspired by when I was a youth. I felt home with it, you know what I mean? So whereas it was hard to find that anywhere else.
Yeah. That's really cool. So is there anything else you would like to cover before we go?
If you want to go to an event, I mean, we have our anniversary coming up on December 17th.
Yeah, that would be really cool. Where is that going to be?
We're having it at this place called Imperial Collab. It's in Logan Heights in San Diego. It's our crew's 15th anniversary. We're planning on doing it big. So yeah, we want to have everyone just kind of learn more about what we do and just really celebrate. That's why we're doing it. Just we're here to have a good time. Yeah.
Cool. Well, hopefully we can make it out. Thank you so much for your time, Dyno. It's been really nice to talk with you.
Yes, thank you so much.
Guys, just look here and smile. There we go. Awesome. And I think we are good to go.